Hello and welcome to the Ground Plan and O'Brien's webinar on taking off plans efficiently when using Ground Plan and LaserPro. My name is Kaz. I am one of the trainers here at Ground Plan, and today I will be taking you through some time-saving options, including templates, shortcut keys, and our Count Assist tool. Anyone who has attended previous webinars will know that talking and typing is not a skill of mine. So I would ask that if you have any questions to please save these for our dedicated questions and answer session at the end of the webinar. We are recording today's session and a copy will be available in your internal database. Oh, give me 1 second. I love it when my bar gets in the wrong place. I want to start today by showing you our project overview. From here, you can easily invite team members to collaborate on your Ground Plan projects. This can be existing Ground Plan users, or you can invite new team members to become Ground Plan users, which will also share them into your project. You do not pay per user in Ground Plan. You're paying per license. So this is the number of users that can be logged into Ground Plan at any time. So everyone using Ground Plan can easily have their own user profile. I have pre-set up my sharing options. So whenever I create a project, these set people are always shared into them. This can be done via our Project Templates tab. So heading to my Ground Plan logo, clicking onto my Project Templates, we go into my default template here, and under Sharing, I can easily add and remove users from my sharing template. You'll see that I have a number of templates here. So if you do have different divisions or different teams with different sharing requirements, they can all have their own template set up for that automatic sharing. Heading back into my project, I'm just going to jump into my Plans tab. So you'll see here on my Plans tab that I've broken up my plans into different groups, and I've actually also renamed my plans just for easier use and identification as I move through my project. When bringing plans into Ground Plan, we can review our plans so that we're only bringing in the pages that we need to mark up. Now I'm bringing in a landscaping plan here, which I know is page 2, but you could equally, if you were bringing in a runner plans, you can use things as you would for your printer. So let's say like 2 to 4 would be 2-4, and then comma 9 would bring in pages 2 to 4 and page 9. I only want page 2, so I'm just going to change that back. And from here, I can add a new group of landscaping by pressing plus new group. Just pop in there landscaping. As you can see, typing isn't my skill either. And then I can upload. And this plan is now going to go into my newly created group of landscaping. It's a really good habit here to click clear finished. We really do want you to always see the most recent uploaded plan. So if there are any failures, you can contact our support team for assistance. To rename my plan, I simply need to hover over my plan and click rename. And I can just type this in as landscaping. I'm going to head back to the top of my plans tab here, as we're going to start today's webinar in the ground floor lighting plan. I'm going to head to the right-hand side and click on these 2 arrows to jump into full screen mode. I've got a wheel on my mouse, so I'm just going to wheel that forward to really give my plan a good zoom in. If you have a trackpad or a touch screen, you can use pinch zoom to do the same thing. To move around my plan, I'm just going to click, hold and drag on the left-hand side of my mouse. Alternatively, I could use the arrows on my keyboard to navigate around my plan. It's whichever is easiest for yourself. To start quantifying my plan, I first want to add a stage. So I'm going to click plus add stage. I need to pop a stage name in here. Now, a stage becomes a section in your LaserPro. So I'm going to call my section lighting. And within this section, I can have multiple unique cost centers. So I may well have the section of lighting and then the cost centers of rough in and fit off, depending on my requirements. At this point, I'm just going to go with a blank stage and click create. When populating my stage, it is important for me to know what I'm counting on the plan, which lengths I'm measuring on the plan, and what areas I'm going to be measuring on the plan. On this particular plan, I'm just going to be counting, so I'm going to start with plus count. I'm now going to move across to my Laser Pro pre-builds, as I know that I have a pre-build for the smoke detector, which is the first item I'm going to count. So to search for this pre-build, I need to put 3 or more characters into my search bar. I can also filter by groups, but you will see my groups are listed underneath the pre-build names. So I'm just going to click here to select my smoke detector. I want to change the symbol here, so I'm going to click onto my symbol, choose this particular symbol, and I can also change my fill and my line color from here. When I'm happy with my selections, I'm simply going to click Create. We're going to start today by looking at manual counting. So I'm going to find my first smoke detector and click to count. And everywhere I see a smoke detector on the plan, I'm just going to be clicking to quantify. Now to move around the plan, I'm using that click, hold and drag on my mouse, or you could be using those arrow keys on your keyboard. Now if I put a count in the wrong place, oh whoops, that doesn't go there. I'm going to hold the control key on my keyboard, command if you're using a Mac, and then simply click to remove the symbol and I can carry on counting. Now I am looking to quantify all of my smoke detectors on this webinar. I know there's about 25 on the plan from my previous test runs. The reason I want to do this, I want to show you the difference between manually counting and how we count using Count Assist. Now, I am not an everyday estimator, so I do sometimes miss some of these smoke detectors, and I'm sure some of you are going, oh, it's over there on the left. But we're on 24, so I'm just going to have a quick look to see if I can find that last one. Oh, there he is. Fantastic. So that's all of my 25 smoke detectors on my plan. For the next part, I'm actually going to remove all of these symbols to show you the difference when we are searching via Count Assist. So to do this, I'm going to hover over here and click Erase All. That's going to remove the markups from this plan, but it will leave my measurement with my pre-build in the background. So to move to Count Assist, I'm going to click my Count Assist button. You can see the menu up here on the right has changed. Now, I know this plan has got a legend at the bottom, and I want to not be searching in this when using Count Assist. So I'm going to click plus exclusion. I'm going to click and release on one corner, move to the opposite corner and click and release again. This is now going to exclude Count Assist results in this area, and this is going to apply to all Count Assist searches on the plan. That's exactly what I want, so I'm going to click Save. You'll see this area is a bit lighter because I'm still in Count Assist mode. The next thing I'm going to do is find my smoke detector. So to use Count Assist, I'm going to be drawing a box around the symbol that I'm looking for. So I'm going to put my mouse in the corner of the box, click on my mouse to start, move to the opposite side. This has gone blue. That's fantastic. It means it can be read by Count Assist, and I'm going to click to complete. So that has just found 24 results for me. We know there's 25, so I'm going to highlight my results. Now this is firstly to check that the symbols selected are the ones that I want, but also just help me find the symbol that I'm missing. So this all looks pretty good. Here's my little missing symbol down here in the counselor's office. So I'm going to click once to exit highlight results. I'm going to click and release to start my next search. This is going blue again, so I'm going to click and release again. You can see this time my refined selection windows come up. That's because there are multiple elements within my search area. My smoke detector's there in green. I'm perfectly happy with that, so I'm going to click Save. Now, there are some reasons why you have to do multiple selections when using Count Assist. So Count Assist will find any identical symbol on any form of a 45-degree rotation of the original symbol. Now, by identical, we're looking for the symbol to be the same size, for the stroke color to be the same. When you have a fitting label, we're looking for this to be in the same position on each of those symbols. So if we have a look here on the left-hand side, we can easily see why I needed multiple selections. So first and foremost, the second selection is not on any form of a 45-degree rotation of our first selection. Even if it was, we can see here that the second symbol is smaller, the line width is different, so it would actually be a non-identical symbol. You do find this can occur when the plan has had revisions prior to it coming through to you. Look, I've now got the 25 smoke detectors that I know are on my plan, so I am just going to click Apply Count. And we can see that these are all now nicely applied on my plan. The next item that I'm going to count is going to be my D1. In this instance, I need to send off the number of D1s in a supply quote, but I also want to quantify the time and materials for installation. So I'm actually going to move across and create a once-off item. I'm going to pop my description of D1 in there. I need to click this as an inventory item for this item to appear in my supply quotes. Also need to add a value into the cost so that my supply quote can be applied to this D1 once in LaserPro. I don't know the cost yet of this D1, so I am just going to put a holding cost of $1 in here. I'm quite happy with this symbol, so I'm going to go across to my fill color and update my fill color. You can see with our color wheel, you can use custom colors here and save up to 36 of those for quick select, as I have done here. This time, once I'm happy with my selection, I am going to click Create and add more parts to add the installation materials for this light fitting. Now, I have a pre-build that's already set up for the installation of a commercial downlight. This has got a surface socket, 2.5 mils of cable, and some labor time in it. So I'm just going to click on Plus Part, select my LaserPro pre-build, and once again use 3 characters or more to search for my pre-build. I'm looking for my commercial pre-build with 10 meters, so I'm just going to click to select that, and I can click Save. If your cable allowance would vary from project to project, some of our customers actually prefer to build out their additional items using catalog items. In this instance, you would click Plus Part and select LaserPro catalog item. Just going to look for my 2.5 mil cable. I label it with CAS for easy finding. Now in this instance, I need to tell GroundPlan how much cable I want to quantify. So here I might say that I want 5 meters of cable for every downlight that I'm counting. So my formula needs to be count times 5. So in GroundPlan, shift and the number 8 is a star for multiplying. So I've got count times 5, and I'm going to click Save. And you can see here my formula is showing. Going back to my plan, I'm going to click onto my D1 line. Count assist has been remembered as my last measuring mode, so I just need to select my symbol. So once again, clicking to start, moving to that opposite diagonal corner. And this time I found 53 results. So let's highlight those results to make sure that the right things have been selected. Now I can see here that I've got some D1As and some D1Ss in my selection. Now these would need to be separate searches, just because we've got the A means that it's an alarm circuit and the S means it's a security circuit. So I want to quantify these under different measurements just due to the changes in the installation. So to do this, I'm just going to click once on the plan, select my D1A. You can see here that there's a couple of bits, this line here is in green, and I probably don't want that in my search. So I'm just going to see which element it is by hovering over it. Looks like element 3, and I can just click to unselect that and click Save. You can see now that I've still got 53 total search results, but 35 of these are my standalone D1s, and 18 of these are my D1As. So now I need to find my D1S and select him. There's only one of my D1Ss, so my total D1s has gone down to 34. Now that my D1As and my D1Ss are separate searches, I simply go to Actions and Exclude. And these are now removed from my Count Assist results. So when I highlight my results, you'll see that only my D1s are highlighted, none of my D1As or D1Ss. I'm happy with this, so I'm going to click Apply Count. To count my next items, I have pre-saved templates with light fittings and installations already saved in GroundPlan. So I'm going to head up to Actions and apply my templates. This is my template that I'm after. I've already got my smoke detector and my D1 on the plan, so I'm just going to click anywhere on this line to unselect those and then click Apply Template. Now, before I go on to my next items, I'm going to head up to Details and I'm going to turn on my Countersist layer. So when I click onto my D1S, you can see that my D1s and my smoke detectors are now grayed out. Just makes it nice and easy to see what's been counted on the plan when I'm doing my searches. Now, I already know that there is one D1S and I know that there are 18 D1As. So I can really easily just do these search selections and quantify these items. Moving on to my D2, here, this is found 35, and when I highlight my results, you see with that Countersist layer how easy it is to see, okay, well that's a circle, but I don't need to check it because it's a D1 because it's whited out. That looks fantastic, so I can just apply that count. Don't have any D3s, so let's go on to my pendant. Let's have a look for him. So you'll just see how easy and quick this is to find those pendants, see where they are. Everything looks fantastic. You'll also see that as we go down to our legend down here, none of these items are appearing on the legend because we did that exclusion. I'm just going to apply my count. Looking at my wall light, you can see here that I have a light fitting and I have a fitting label. In these instances, I will always search for my fitting label just because the fitting label can move around, which would make it a non-identical symbol. Let's highlight those results again. Okay. Can't see any other wall lights. So we're going to click Apply Count. So you can see here that ever since I've added my template, my takeoff has got even quicker again, because instead of having to find the pre-build and add the correct parts and labor and formula, I'm simply just clicking on the measurement I want to select using Countersist, and then my results are being populated. Let's look at our emergency LED light. So this time we can see that actually this symbol isn't going blue. So I'm just going to press Escape to start another search and check another one of these. Okay, so this appears that this is actually an image, not a symbol on the plan. So this means it cannot be read by Countersist. And it does appear that this is the same for all of my emergency lights. So what I would do here is click onto Count to move back into manual counting and just go around and click to count these ones. This is what we would call a hybrid plan because there are some symbols and some images. Now you can see straight away the difference now. I'm going and doing this manually counting and it feels a little bit archaic after how fast we've been using Countersist. Now, once my plan was fully marked up, I'm going to head over to the left-hand side and click to mark my plan as completed. I'm then going to navigate through to the next plan using my navigation arrows. So moving on to the next plan, I have a couple of options when it comes to my stages. Now I have a stage of lighting. If I want just one section of lighting for the whole of my project, when pushing through to Laser Pro, I'd come over here and click Link from the worksheet. I only have one stage, so this is pre-selected, so I can just click Link Stages. So clicking onto my D1, I need to go back onto Countersist. You'll see that my Countersist searches are not present. Due to the Countersist only matching identical symbols, when you do move to another plan, you do need to redo your Countersist searches in case non-unique symbols have been used on this plan. So let's just grab our D1. So this time with my refined selection window, you can see my D1 is in grey and the Y is in green. So I just simply need to untick the incorrect element. See, this is the correct element, so we select that and then click Save. So we've got 57 this time, and I can see here are my D1Ss. So I'm just going to simply select these D1Ss, which is now given me 43 D1s and 14 D1Ss. Now, if I just want to see my D1S selections, I can actually click this little magnifying glass here. So you can see all my D1S's are being highlighted and all my D1s are still in green. So I can have a quick look around and say, yep, this looks like that has got all of my D1S's in that search. So I can go to actions and exclude them, and then I can then apply my account just to my D1s. Looking here on my stage, you'll now see that I have a plan total of 43 and a project total of 77. So I have just realized I've got a legend. So you can see here that my D1 has actually been counted on my legend. So I do need to go back onto Count Assist, add an exclusion, draw that around my legend. I'm happy that it's excluding from all Count Assist searches, so I'm going to click Save. Now my review indicator is showing on my measurement. The review indicator means the applied counts is different to your Count Assist search results. So if you see these down your stage, you would click onto your measurement, highlight your results and check that you're happy everything's correct. We'll see that D1's no longer showing, so I can apply my count and my totals will update. Now, if when I'm going to Laser Pro, I wanted a separate section for ground floor lighting versus my first floor lighting, what I would do here is actually come to the left-hand side and add a new stage. Let's call this first floor lighting. Spelling's not my friend today. And this time I'm going to click copy from stage. So I can just bring all the measurements I chose from lighting and then click create. So if we go down here and grab our smoke detector again, I know there's 20 on the plan, but I will just give you a quick highlight results anyway and apply my count. So what you can see here is because I have a separate stage, I now just have a plan total and a project total that are the same. If I scroll up to my lighting stage, you'll see that this has not been applied to that other stage, so they're separate totals. To move to my next plan, I'm just going to use our Jump to Plan shortcut, which is F2 on your keyboard or Function F2 if you're on a Mac. This just brings up all of the plans on my project. I know I'm going to be looking at my hot and cold water, so I can actually just type in there my plan name and then click onto my plan to navigate through. This is obviously a plumbing plan and there's some lengths here for me to measure. So what I'm going to do is head to the left-hand side and set my plan scale. I can see my scale is 1 to 100 at A3, so I can just use that drop down and set my scale. Now, I really am a measure twice, cut once kind of girl, so I just want to check my plan scale is correct. So I've got a ruler on my plan here, so I'm going to go to the right-hand side of my screen and click onto our ruler tool. I'm then going to click to start my length. Oh, give it a bit more of a zoom in. I'm a bit blind today. So I'm going to click to start my ruler, hold shift to draw a straight line, and then click to finish. Next, I'm going to click edit. Now, if like myself, you would like your ruler to be a bit more see-through or you want to change the color, you just need to head to settings and you can do things like change the opacity, change your line width, or even change your number format if you prefer to view this in millimeters. I'm happy with this, so I'm just going to tap the delete key on my keyboard to remove that annotation. Moving across to my stages, this time I'm going to add my stage of hot and cold. And I'm going to be applying a takeoff template. Now to find my correct template, I can either search by the name or as I have over 10 templates in my ground plan, I can click onto the label, choose the correct label, and there's my filtered templates here. So we're going to grab the hot and cold water. Now looking down this template, I have a lot of different sizes. I know that I don't need all of these. So I'm going to unselect all measurements and click, hold and drag to select the ones that I want to bring in. Once I'm happy with my selections, I'm going to click create. When I click onto my T, I need to move back into manual counting mode here. And we just click to pop our T junctions on the plan. Now, if I want to change the orientation of my symbol, I simply need to be holding Alt on my keyboard, Option on a Mac, and tap R for rotate. And to go back the other way, I would hold that Alt key or Option key and tap E for echo. Next, I'm going to be moving on to my hot water. So when measuring lengths, give it a good zoom in, and we're going to click to start. We're going to hold Shift on our keyboard, and this is going to lock my line in 15-degree increments. And then at the end of this line, I'm going to double click to finish. On my next line, I'm going to click to start, holding that Shift key. Then I'm going to click to change direction. I'm using this click, hold, and drag to navigate around the plan. You could also use the arrow keys. Now, if I put a point in the wrong place, oh, whoops, that doesn't go there. This time, I'm going to hold my Control key or Command key, but I'm going to tap Z for Zulu, and tapping Z will undo the last point that I've measured. I can carry on with my measurement and double click to finish. Now, I do know that with some plans, especially plumbing plans, your lines may not always be in perfectly aligned 15-degree increments. In those instances, what we can do is we can actually use our Snap to Objects. So over here on the right is our Snap to Objects tool. And what this will do is this will pull your line to the markings on the plan. You'll see this just sort of pulling that line straight for me, and then you can double click to finish. I do turn Snap to Objects off after using it, as it does also apply to counts, so you might find sometimes your counts go a bit haywire. Now, you guys may have instances when you're drawing lengths that you want to put a little bit of drop or wastage on there. This might be that your pipe's going into a stacked riser, or that you've got a cable tray that's going between the floors, so you want to account for that riser on your cable tray. In those instances, what you would do is you would click to start that length, and then you'd head up here to the right-hand side to Settings. Now, from here, you can add in your drop or wastage. I'm just going to put 1 in there for 1 meter of drop and wastage. As I move my mouse down the plan, what you can see is along that length that I've just drawn, it says 1515 meters. That is our measured length. If you now see where my mouse is and go to the right-hand side, that says 2.51 meters. So that is the measured length plus that 1 meter of drop and wastage that we've asked Ground Plan to add. So I'm just going to double click to complete that length. And you'll see over here on the left-hand side, that 2.51 is the measurement that's gone into your stage. Moving back to the right-hand side, you will see that the drop and wastage box is no longer filled. So the next line that I draw will not have the drop and wastage on it. Now, if you are doing things like cable runs or mains cable where you want the same drop and wastage on every length that you're drawing, we would handle this we would handle this under our Parts tab. And to do this, we're going to be using some formula. So to go into this part, I'm just going to click onto the formula, and we're going to be building this out using our supported references. So the supported references for the length measurement, we've got len, which is the measured length on our plan. We've got count, which is the number of runs, which in this example on screen is 3 runs. And we've also got segments, which is the number of times you have clicked to change direction, which in this example is 6. So moving back into Ground Plan, I want to add an extra 0.5 meter of pipe to every run length. So my formula is going to be len plus count times 0.5. So I've got the measured length there with the word len. Count is the number of runs. So for the measured length plus for every run, I'd like an additional 0.5 meter. Looking over here on the right-hand side, you'll see my measured length there is 14.23. And my total is showing as 16.23 because we have 4 runs on the plan. So I'm very happy with that. So I'm going to click Save. Now, when I return to my plan, you'll see that my stage is showing 14.23. That is correct. The stage, the legend, and your worksheet will always show you your measured length. To see the measured length after the formula has been applied, we need to go into our Laser Pro tab. Just jump to that stage of hot and cold. And here is where the measured length plus formula is going to show for you. Going back into my plan, once I've finished marking up my plan, I would mark it as complete. Now, marking the plans as complete is really just making your life easier when marking up plans, especially if you're collaborating with other people. So if we go back to the ground plan logo, what you can see here is because I've reviewed my plans and only brought in the plans I need, I can see that there's 10 plans that I need to mark up in ground plan. And of these plans, 2 of these are already completed. And anyone in Shared into Your project can see the same information. When we click onto the plans to go into the plans tab, we can easily see which of these plans have been completed. So whoever's collaborating with me can come on here and also go, right, this is the next plan I need to work on, and go from there. Once all of these plans are completed, you would move to your worksheet tab. In the worksheet tab, we are going to add any additional parts and labor for your sections that need to be included in your quote that are not inside your measurements. So for example, my lighting stage, I know that I'm going to be using a platform lift because those ceilings are pretty high. They're not inside my pre-build, so therefore they're not inside my measurements. I haven't added them in, so I'm going to add them as an additional item. So when adding an additional item, this can be a once-off item, a catalog item, or a pre-build. I'm going to go with once off. I'm just going to go with lift high, given how my spelling's gone today. And we're just going to pop a cost in there. Now, I don't want this to be on a supplier quote, so I don't need to tick it as inventory, but I do need to put a quantity in there. Now, things like additional labor, this is really for things like your apprentice labor or contractor labor normally. Now I can put anything into this description box. This is just an identifier, and I'm going to be selecting the correct labor rate on my Laser Pro tab. So let's just go contractor here. If I fill in my unit cost or unit price, this is going to override my Laser Pro labor rate. I'm going to leave this blank because I have customs with custom pricing against their labor rates. So I'm simply going to add my quantity in here and click create. So once I've populated all of my additional parts and labor on all of my sections, I'd use back to top and I'd navigate through to the Laser Pro tab. Got some nice warnings here telling me I'm not quite ready to push my quote through to Laser Pro. So looking down here, you'll see that from the template I applied, my D2, D3s, and my other light fittings, I preset my cost center to lighting supply, but my other cost centers are not yet populated. If I wanted to use the same cost center for my entire project, I can come down here for the default cost center and click commercial, and you'll see all of those items that didn't have the cost center selected have now been populated. Now my D1 does need to go under lighting supply, so I just need to click on my D1. I can set my cost center to lighting supply. Now going down to my hot and cold. Now, if, for example, the top 3 items here that I'm going to click, hold, and drag to select, if these were all rough-in items and the 3 below were all fit-off items, I do apologise to any of my plumbers. I know that this is probably not the case. I believe these are actually all rough-in items. Fit-off. I can select these under their different cost centres. Now you can see that everything's great with my cost centres, but I'm getting a warning about my labour rate. So this default labor rate, this is the default labor rate for your labor lines in ground plan. This is not the default labor rate for your quote in Laser Pro. So here, my labor line is a contractor. So I'm just going to grab my default labor rate as contractor hire to populate that there. If you have multiple labor lines that need to go to different rates, it's exactly the same as your cost center. You're going to click on the line and select that labor rate. Once you're happy with your cost center selections and your labor rate selections, we're going to push to a new quote. We're going to search for our customer using 3 or more characters, and we're going to select our site. You can add new customers and new sites here as required. I'm also going to select my project manager and my salesperson for my reporting and notifications. When I'm ready, I'm just going to click submit for this quote to be created in my Laser Pro. Once it's created, I can click onto that blue link. This is where the magic happens. So here is my quote in Laser Pro. Under my cost center list, you can see I have my stage of lighting and then my unique cost centers of commercial and lighting supply. and the same with my hot and cold for my rough in and fit off. I'm just going to add another section in here. I like to track my administration costs separately to my project, so I will just add that in. And then for my supply quote, I just need to click onto my project overview, select my stage of lighting, so section of lighting, and click Create Supplier Quote. Here you can see all my light fittings are populated because we clicked that inventory item box. Just going to close out of this quote, and then we're going to head back onto ground plan. We're going to move across to the Plans tab to look at how we would handle plan revisions. Now, I've already preloaded my revision group and plan into this project, so I simply need to hover over the plan and click the marked up plan and click Revise. Here you can see that some of the plans in my project do not match the same dimensions, and this is really useful to know when you're doing plan revisions. Just going to use these arrows to minimize my incorrect groups, and here's my revision group so I can select my plan, check that the revision is the correct orientation, and then revise the plan. This group is now empty because this plan revision is now my marked up plans background. So I'm going to click to open this and see what this has done. So here is my new plan. So I'm going to click Show and Hide All and click to hide all stages just to hide the markups on my plan. So when I click on to Compare, you'll see that my previous revision is selected because there's only one of them. If there are multiple, you can choose which revision you'd like to compare this with, and you can see which revision it is by the upload date. So we're just going to now click Compare Plans, and this is where the magic is going to happen. So what you are now looking at on your screen, anything in black is the same, so it's not been changed in this revision. Anything in blue is new to the plans in this revision, and anything in red has been removed in this revision. So taking a deeper look here, we can see that I've got a D1A and a D2 that have been removed, and a couple of exit lights and a pendant. And then I've got a few new exit lights and some emergency lights going on. Now here you can see I've got red and blue overlaying each other. So this is actually a D1 that's been removed, but a D3 is in its place. And the same with my D2s. I've got some D2s that are now become D2Ss. Looking at those emergency lights, yes, I've got red and blue, but it's quite easy to see here that it's just been moved slightly, so it wouldn't affect my total count number. So now what I need to do is make sure my numbers are correct. So I'm going to click to reinstate my stage. I'm going to select the symbol on here because I know that's incorrect. I'm going to hold the control key on my keyboard. And I'm actually going to click to select all of the items that need to be removed because they are no longer on this plan. Okay, so as I've had a good look around already, I know that I've got this pendant here as well, and there's no other items I can see that need removing. So I'm just simply going to then tap delete on my keyboard, and all of those have now been removed. So to add my D3s, I'm just going to click onto D3 and then just click to count those on my plan. Now I know you'd be going through and adding in the extra items, but once all of my extra items had been added, I would simply press Escape on my keyboard, click onto Comparing and click Cancel Compare. And now I am just left with my revision plan. And we can see that that D1A and that D2 are not showing there on the plan. Next, I would jump out of full screen mode, go back onto my worksheet, just check that my additional parts and labour quantities are still correct due to the changes, head back to the top of the plan and back to Laser Pro. Once my cost centres and labour rates have been checked that they're correct as well, this time we're going to push to an existing quote. Now what you can see here is that currently my admin section is due to be removed. Now I don't want that. I want that as a section in my quote. So I need to come up here and click and untick the option to remove existing sections from the quote. This means that only my ground plan sections are going to be overridden with my next action. Now I'm happy with this. I'm going to click to update my quote. And that's now going to be pushing all of my changes through to Laser Pro. So clicking on my updated quote, firstly under my cost center list, my admin section is still there. And if I jump into lighting supply, you'll see there is my D3, very loud and proud. Now going back into ground plan. Now I know throughout this webinar, I've been saying, oh, I've got a template and I'm just going to apply a template and my template's got fitting items in. And you've probably been thinking to yourself, yeah, that's great, Kaz, but how do I get templates in my ground plan? And what's the quickest way of creating templates in ground plan? Now, in my opinion, the best way to create templates in ground plan is to create a project in ground plan, build out your items, so build out your D1s and your fittings, make sure your formula is in there. And then when you're happy with what's in there, with your symbol colors and your sizes and things like that, you want to come to your worksheet and click onto actions. And then you just want to copy to a new template. So if I just put OBG lighting template, I can name this whatever I want, and then I can copy the stage. Now from here, I'm just going to be adding in my labels for my easy filtering, and I can add additional measurements as needed. On the Laser Pro tab, you'll see that my cost centers have been remembered here because they were different from the default cost center. And going into my D1, you can see that my downlight install pre-build is there, as is my cable with all of my formula that has been applied. Now, if in Laser Pro you are using the replace item feature, or you delete or archive any of your catalog items or pre-builds and then create new ones, you will need to come into your templates in ground plan and update your items. This is because when we're pushing from ground plan to Laser Pro, we identify your items by a background ID, not by the part number and description. So to update your templates from the home page, you would go to your Take Off Templates tab. We're going to look for our template. I'm just going to filter by the label. Here is my lighting template. Now going into my D1, if I want to check that this is the correct pre-build, I come to the Actions menu on the right and click Laser Pro Pre-Build, and I can now see the price, the time, and the build items to see if that's the right one. If it's not, I use that same Actions menu to delete the pre-build. Now I can just add another pre-build in. So this time if I go for commercial 15, now you will need to repeat this on all of your measurements within your template and all of your templates. These new pre-builds will be used the next time you apply this template in ground plan. It is not going to go and update previous projects where this template has been applied. Moving on to our Laser Pro tab. From here, we can preset those cost centers. So we've got things like select all, or we can click to select, or bulk, click, hold, and drag. Now I'm just going to set these to rough in and fit off again, just to show you how these would look when we put them onto a project. Beautiful, so they're now set. So when I go back into our project and return to my plan, I'm just going to add a new stage here of updated template. God, excuse my spelling again. Oh, Jesus, it's getting worse. Right, and then I'm going to apply my template, use that label to filter it, grab my lighting template and click create. And when I go across to my Laser Pro tab and jump to my stage, you see there's my commercial 15, and there are all the cost centers that we just selected. This concludes our webinar on taking off plans efficiently when using Ground Plan and Laser Pro. To start your 2-week no obligation CounterSys trial, please head up to help and send us a message so our team can activate this for you. Every company gets a 1-hour free training session. So if you have not yet accessed yours, please do come through to us so we can go through your workflow with you one-on-one and really look at some additional time savers within your workflow. I will now be taking questions for our Q&A part of today's webinar. Does anyone have any questions? As no one appears to have any questions, I would like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar. Look, we are always looking to improve the ground plan experience for our customers, so please do let us know what features you would like to see from ground plan. I look forward to really hopefully doing some one-on-one training with all of you. And thank you once again for your time today, and happy ground planning.